in this process, right, how has it impacted you on a personal level? How has it changed your life, or has it changed your life?
Well, throughout the interviewing process, I learned a lot. I interviewed probably about 70 or so, or pretty close to that. And from those conversations, I hate to use the word interview because we had conversations. From that, I learned about the lived experiences of so many people, friends, people I don't know. I learned what is happening in their lives, how they approach different situations, how they deal with issues, problems, and how some of them you were able to convert those problems into advantages, things that they could use. Instead of saying, I'm done, this is it, they utilize that information, that issue that they're having, and converted that and say, I'm not done. I'm going to use this situation and as a thing that's going to propel me to move forward and do something, as opposed to just folding up, So resilience is one of the things that I picked up, that ability to say, no matter what is happening in my life, there's enough positivity going on. I can use, it's a way of, it's not an empty cup, right? It's not, there's something in there, right? There's something in there. So learning and see how they manage and handle some very not so good situations, and how they've overcome them, and how they're converted that problem and made it into something positive. That's something I learned, that no matter what is going on, no matter what is happening, there's still positivity. There's still positive things you can take away from any negative situation that you can use. So we should focus on what is working as opposed to what is not working. I learned that's very important. One thing I learned.
Oh yeah, powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes we tend to, when things are not so right, you put all your energy and focus on what's not working, like you said, versus trying to use it as an opportunity to learn and propel you and kind of flip that situation into something more positive.
Yeah, and another thing that really jumped out for me is, and I never expected, what do I know, right, about purpose? Other than I know I have a purpose, but I'm not an expert on the topic. But the amount of people that is willing to talk about their purpose was quite surprising to me. The amount of people that was willing to come out and say, this is what is happening in my life. So from that, I pick up that there are people out there that they're not happy. They're not comfortable with where they are. They share, and they want to share it because they believe by sharing, others can benefit. So they're not functioning as this reservoir. They're operating in a river state where they're just depositing information. Some of it's some very sensitive stuff, but they're willing to talk about it and put it out there in the world. So it's important. And if anyone is listening to us right now, it is important to speak up. Don't hold it in. Because by holding it in, you're not only affecting yourself, but if you speak up, you could be helping others as well.
True, very powerful. That's why they always, from writing before and just from my publisher, Victorious You Press, believes in, definitely telling your story, because it's your story is what's going to impact someone and potentially change someone's life. And if you keep it to yourself, then it does no one any good.
Not even you.
Not even you. This is true. You have to get it out.
Yeah, that stored up negative stuff is not good for anyone,
Yeah. So with this, like Dr. Stephenson, with this and you interviewing so many people, and hearing their stories about purpose and just, what they've been through, like for yourself, did you find yourself more thinking about your purpose and being more intentional about your purpose in life? Or, how did that this whole process affect you as a person in being more intentional about living your life on your particular purpose?
Well, first I must say I believe this thing, a collision with purpose, is my purpose.
Mm.
Mhm. And it's the work that is required to do it, and the time that you must spend on it for it to work. After all that is said and done, it doesn't feel like work. It's sort of difficult to explain, but I would say that I've found my purpose in the collision with purpose. This is part of my discovery. I'm having actually living my collision every single
Wow.
day. Every single day that I interview someone or I have a conversation or someone call me about, the topic about what I'm doing, I know and I'm convinced it's confirmation that I'm living my purpose. And because I understand that my purpose is not just for my personal satisfaction, but it is to make a difference and to impact lives, other lives. And I know that's exactly what we're doing. So I'm very much working in my purpose through this business that we're in, the collision with purpose.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Mhm.
So you've actually experienced your like light bulb moment
I've had my collision,
of
right?
having your collision within your own project.
Absolutely, absolutely. When
Wow.
you're talking to so many people and when you're going to bed at night thinking about a collision with purpose, and when you're not only are you having these interviews, but now you have to go back and watch them, right? And watch them. And you have to go back and post them. And you have to make sure what you're posting is worth posting. So it's like each interview I'm living and experiencing 5, 10 times before it's even posted.
Mm.
Yeah. So it's one of those situations where you're in. It's a deep dive for me into the topic.
Right.
Right.
So now let me ask you, because I know that, like when you're hearing and you're speaking to individuals, and like you just said, you have to go back and you listen to these interviews, so you're hearing their story over and over and over. Um, is it difficult to separate sometimes the stories from your everyday life? Because I know some of those stories, they're very kind of like gut wrenching, hard stories to
Well,
have to process.
well, the first thing I accept that it's not my story; it's their story.
Hmm.
So I get that, right? And I know that each story is a different story, depending on who's telling and who experienced it. So while it's not my experience, I am learning from them, from those stories, right? So separating is not difficult because I understand that it's not my life, it's their stories.
Hmm.
So but while I'm well, what I do is I learn from their situation. So we learn from each other's experiences, right? And their story is their experience. It's their purpose. It is their life. So I certainly don't carry it, but I learn from it.
Okay, awesome. Well, that is all my questions that I have for you that I can think of. I'm happy you spend the time though to kind of chit chat with me about this project.
Yeah. Well,
It's exciting.
this is the first time I've actually had a conversation like this about the collision with purpose. Most time I'm asking questions, right? Most time I'm asking the questions. But I should tell you that while we're doing a collision with purpose in pursuit of purpose, there's another topic that we're going to take on. And
Oh yeah, tell us.
It's called Building Bridges to Strengthen Parent-Child Relationship. And that's a very important topic because none of us, there's no map out there. There's nothing to tell you how to be a good parent, right? So we're going to talk to parents, real parents who are living this thing of being parents. And they're going to tell us how they're doing it, what is working, what is not working, how they can make improvements, and so forth. So that's going to be our next conversation. We will still continue to do the piece about In Pursuit of Purpose. So it's still all about purpose. But this time we're just switching it up to Building Bridges to Strengthen Parent-Child Relationship. And again, we'll use a similar format where we'll be asking questions. And again, we're going to break this down into mother, daughter, son, father, daughter, father, son. And again, it's going to be about the lived experiences of parents as they're going about their daily lives, parenting their, being a parent to their children. So
that's gonna be powerful.
One thing we commit to, any topic we take on at a collision with purpose, it's going to be meaningful. We're not just going to take on something because it sounds good. We're going to take on something because it will resonate with people and will make a difference in their lives. And that's the focus. That's what a collision with purpose is all about. It's about making a difference. It's about uplifting people. It's about, just creating awareness about why we're here.
So how did the thought, now that you brought this up, how did the thought of building bridges, where did that come from?
So we did In Pursuit, we did Unearthing You, and I'm a parent, right? 2 times. I'm a father and I'm a grandfather. So that's the 2-time business, right? and I'm learning that I've made improvements. And on the second part, on the grandparent side, things that I'm doing now, I didn't do as well as a first parent or a father, right? So that is one of the drivers. I said there's so many people out there, and there's so many issues out there with our children. And a lot of times it's not because you're a bad parent or it's a bad child, it's because of lack of knowledge. Because we just don't know how to do it, right?
Right.
Or do it well enough, because who taught us? Is there a book out there and that's going to really apply to the different personalities? A lot of it's personality driven and so those things, right? It's who we are as individuals, and we carry that over into our parenting, right? So that came about because, again, I said, this is something we need to address. This is a topic that is not just a topic, it's real, it's life. It's probably our number one duty, right?
Yes, because that's everyday life happening now.
It's probably your first purpose in life. Once you have children, is to be the best parent you can be.
Right.
So that's for most people, I believe, because we have many purposes, right? Even there is some connectivity to all of it, because it's all about you and the work you do. And being a parent is just one element of the work that you do. So, and that'll be probably the most important.
Yeah, because you're actually impacting another life.
And one that is very close to you. And not just impacting, it's the life that you probably can have the most impact on.
Right.
Because you spend so much time with your children. So it's an opportunity to make a real difference in your community by growing a child that is going to become a productive member of communities. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah, right.
We bring up our children so they can become productive members, so they can build better communities and everything,
that goes with it.
Exactly. Extremely. So that's how that came about. That's how that one came. And we're looking at other topics as well. We have some. We have some lineup, no point discussing that now. But
Mm-hmm.
we need to do another 70 plus interviews, you know,
To get to that one.
to get to find the answers, right?
Right.
We have to
Right.
exhaust the topic, right? We have to ask enough questions until we're no longer receiving anything new. You know, then we know that maybe we have something.
Mm-hmm.
We have something. And from that, I expect that we'll be writing about it as well. We'll be writing about it. So the possibility then exists for maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 books, because it's 4 categories.
Right.
But one thing I do promise you, it's going to be very informative, very useful, very practical, and information that can make a difference and will make a difference.
Now, that's going to be very interesting because I know like some people, like where you have 3, 4, 2, 3, 4 children, it'll be very interesting to hear some of those stories. Because you always hear about, each child is so different, different personalities, just it's almost like you can't do that one size fit all thing when you're raising children. So I'm quite sure it's gonna be very, very powerful, a lot
Yeah,
of information.
exactly. And when you're dealing with human beings, it's never a one size fit all.
Right.
I think appropriately so, it's going to be, each relationship, even you have 3 children, each relationship is very specific to the relationship with that child 1, child 2, child. So
Mhm.
so it's going to be interesting, it's going to be engaging, and it's going to speak loud as to some of the issues that are out there. And not just that, we're going to point out some of the good things, the good points, so that your friends, your neighbors can borrow those good approaches and apply them in their situation.
Right.
Yeah. We're not just looking for negative, right?
No, 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 no. No, no,
Yeah.
no, not at all, because
We
you wanna have,
that
positive outcomes.
as well. So we want to know who's doing it right, how we can, we know where we are, right? And what are the gaps? What are we doing wrong? How can we fix those gaps and do it better, and so forth. So I think it's going to be interesting. I'm going to be in a good position because I'm going to be hearing all these different things,
Mhm.
different ideas again firsthand. So here again, I'm going to be living my purpose. What they call it, walking in your purpose.
Walking in your purpose.
Yeah, I get phone calls, right, from all these different individuals wanting to talk to me about purpose. And I certainly don't claim to be an expert on it, you know. I myself, I'm in pursuit of mine, and
Right.
working on that and just trying to be to get it better and better and better and better and better. It's always in pursuit, right? But I get all these calls from all these different individuals saying, let's talk about this situation. Let's talk about this situation. But if I was to tell anyone anything, I would say, look in the mirror.
Mm.
Somewhere in there is a person in there, and their purpose is right within that person you're seeing in the mirror. That
Wow.
person should be you.
Mhm.
But we all have a purpose. We all have a purpose. And if we focus enough and pay attention enough to the way we're living our lives, the things we're doing, decisions we're making, you will discover your purpose. Just
Mhm.
take time, do some this self-reflection, just become more engaged in your own life, and quiet it down a little bit, Listen. Listen to you inside and outside. Just pay
Right.
attention. Yeah, pay more attention. Be introspective, right? Yeah, and question the things that you're doing. Question them. The things that you believe, the things that you're doing without even knowing why you're doing, but it becomes so routine. Ask
Mm.
yourself the question: why am I doing it? Why am I doing these things? Implement some more curiosity in your life, in your actions, in your brain, in your head. just be more active in your life.
It's almost like going back to that childhood
Mhm.
state when you know how kids, they're very curious and they're eager to learn and discover and yeah, newness. Their brains are like sponges.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's a good place to be. Because once you lose your sense of curiosity, you sort of check out.
Hmm.
If you don't want to know, because being curious means that you're in a learning space. You're living in a learning space. You want to know new things. And I think the best place to spend your time is in a learning state.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.